Just 5 more weeks to go until this once proud wrestling company, this once prominent wrestling company, is dead and buried. I'm Jarrett with the retro review of WCW Nitro from February 19, 2001. I'm going to retro review the Raw episode that went head-to-head with the last Nitro because I want to see things from both sides and also critique that and the fact that we're never going to have another wrestling war like that. You know, the whole NXT AEW thing is what it is, but it's never going to be as hot as it was during the Monday Night Wars, I can tell you. I can't think of a much more fun time that I had watching wrestling back-to-back, you know, taping one, watching one live and all that. It was fucking great. Even if both shows were shitty, it was still great to see head-to-head competition. I do wonder if WCW could have been rebooted and been a viable threat to WWE. Probably not. But it still would have been nice to have some kind of competition. Thankfully, NWA TNA came up, but that's another story for another day. Let's talk about the fact this is Super Brawl Fallout. Super Brawl Revenge Fallout, that is. And they're on the road to Greed. Fitting that Greed was the last name of their pay-per-view because they got greedy, cocky, and then scorched the goddamn earth. And there was a roster standing there being like, what the fuck do? We can hit the reset button over there, but it's too goddamn late. Oh, we've hit it. We've hit it multiple times. It's not working. Oh, here comes the new ownership to basically pull us off the goddamn air. It's scary to think that in just a few weeks they were going to be done. Really, really fucking scary. You could tell, though, that it was coming to an end. A bitter end, and I ain't talking about Pete Dunne's finisher. So we get footage of Kevin Nash leaving WCW for the last time until Vince McMahon brought him and Hall and Hogan back and then created the NWO for, you know, with a lethal dose of poison into WWE. And the WWE NWO, run was not good. Not good at all. They have another funeral like they did for Goldberg after Sin, but this one was for Nash, and this was painful, really painful. It was just as painful as the Goldberg one. The funeral music kept playing while everybody talked, like Flair saying, "There's nobody to stand against us." Scott Steiner, "I'm no ordinary man, I'm a genetic freak." There's a casket there, by the way, and positively Canyon is in the casket. But before Scott Steiner goes over the fact that he beat Sting, Booker, Goldberg, Sid, taking credit for the leg break, and Nash. Over 10 minutes in, by the way, we see Canyon as positively Page in the casket. DDP is the next target. Buff versus Miller, Jarrett versus Dustin, Canyon versus Page. Destroy them. That was pretty much a theme there. And here's DDP in the crowd. You're going to feel the bangs. Okay, at least they tried to build up this whole thing with DDP and Steiner. Miller and Mr. Jones are backstage. Thank you to the fans. Next week starts the Cruiserweight Tag Team Tournament. Miss Jones seemed very excited about this tag team action. I think this was also the last show she was going to be on. That we'll find out why here in a little bit. Noble versus Shannon Moore. Courageous was in Noble's corner. They've been unlikely tag partners and then likely enemies and all that. And match was okay for a bit, then got sloppy, really sloppy. After an inadvertent drop kick, Evan Courageous DDTs Noble on the apron, the hardest part of the ring. Shannon Moore hits bottoms up, 1, 2, 3. Moore and Courageous are back together because Helms is going to be off feuding with Chavo Guerrero, and they need tag teams for this Cruiserweight Tag Team Tournament. It's going to be 8 teams. And that's pretty much all the Cruiserweights they had under contract. Conan and Kidman are talking about Chavo and Animals Super Brawl Revenge antics. They're going to have a tag match later. Mike Awesome versus Brian Clark. Brian wanted revenge for what Awesome did to Brian, the other Brian, not Brian Clark, in the ring. Too many Brians on this goddamn show. Thankfully not Brian Armstrong. He tried to go get a goddamn job, and how well did that work? No, Road Dogg got fucking fired. He couldn't get a job in WCW, because by the time he got down there, they were bought out. Oh, such a shame that his bad choices led to him having some problems. It's his own fault. It's his own fucking fault for being an idiot. And I'm talking about now. I ain't talking about that. He got clean. That's great for him. So, about a minute in, Skipper runs in, he gets laid out, then Storm as well. We finally call for the DQ after about 15 spots where it should have been called before. Here's Adams for the save. High time to everybody but Storm. Miller talks to Storm and says he will face Hugh Morris because we didn't get enough of that feud before. And then Awesome and Skipper are banned from ringside. Kid Romeo vignette. I don't think Kid Romeo ended up doing that much outside of a little bit in WCW and a little bit in Impact Wrestling. Am I wrong? Please let me know what Kid Romeo did in the comments because I'm struggling to remember what he ended up really doing. I'm actually thinking I am forgetting something prominent that he did, or at least something mildly memorable, but I'm struggling to remember. Chavo Guerrero versus Kidman. Oh no, it's Chavo and Conan, or Chavo and Animal versus Kidman and Conan, but Kidman and Chavo start out, and then Conan and Animal are brawling. Animal's already goddamn winded because he can't be bothered to care, and I don't think anybody could be bothered to care about WCW at this point. botch K-Factor because nobody knew what the fuck they were doing. Then we get some dives. Ray comes in while the ref's distracted and hits the low blow. Diving leg drop on the Chavo. Kid Crusher on Chavo, 1, 2, 3. Animal lays Kidman out afterwards. Then we get Miller with Miss Jones versus Buff Bagwell. Well, Miller tries to get Buff Bagwell to come over to the good side, but no! Buff Bagwell embraces the dark side, keeps embracing it, and says, I don't hang with losers. And we have a match where he targeted Miller's neck with a lot of rest holds. Later, Canyon comes in to interfere. DDT and Blockbuster for 3. Miss Jones slaps Canyon. That proved to be her undoing, in the form of a Canyon cutter right after that, and she's laid out, and they treat it like, oh, Miss Jones had her neck broken and stuff like that, and the referee even rolled her. It's like, don't roll her, she could have a broken neck. Okay, Hudson, I think Canyon knows what he's doing. I think he could have done that, but Canyon's a professional. But I believe this was when they wrote Miss Jones out of the show. They were writing a lot of people out of the show because even though they were under contract, they were trying to reset things. They were trying to do some stuff to juice it up. And maybe if the merger, A, hadn't happened or hadn't gone, quite as, hadn't been quite as vile, like there hadn't been so many vile people against wrestling. Maybe if this could have gone into the summer, who knows? WCW might have been able to do Great American Bash 2001 or Bash at the Beach 2001, and we could have had something. Miss Jones wasn't going to be part of it, though. She was laid out. She got taken to the hospital, and Miller went with her. Rick Steiner versus Lash LaRue. Rick beats the shit out of Lash LaRue. Easy for me to goddamn say. And hits 3 Steiner drivers for 3, and then does a you don't like me, bite me, and then doctor's check on Lash. Scott hands Canyon the knucks that he used to take down Kevin Nash, knock him out. We get Storm versus Hugh Morris for the last time ever, until the next time. Actually, I don't think they faced off in WWE. They were part of the Alliance, but the fact that Hugh Morris was given a job in WWE is pretty fucking ridiculous because he wasn't any fucking good. Though, it did give the line, your name is Hugh Morris. What? Hugh Morris. What? Anyway, Storm targets a knee, but eventually no laughing matter, 1, 2, 3. The match wasn't bad, it was just there. Jarrett then impersonates Dusty Rhodes. It is at this point that I am convinced that Jeff Jarrett believes his own hype. He did a Dusty impression and did bad comedy with a bucket of fried chicken and a fat suit and everything and stuff like that. And this had been done, and Dusty's weight had been made fun of for a while. That wasn't the issue. This was so goddamn bad. The crowd was virtually silent. They were like, what is this? Why is Jeff Jarrett on our, in the ring? Why is he in front of our eyes? We don't want to fucking see him. A bunch of enhancement talents that are security guards as well come down, and they get laid out by Dusty. Well, Dusty, as Jeff Jarrett does his, antics and everything. And it was shit. Absolute goddamn shit. Here's Dustin. Rick shows up, by the way, and Dustin hits a running bulldog and then guitar to Dustin's head. This would lead to Dusty coming back. It would be Ric Flair and Jeff Jarrett against Dusty and Dustin. And then they would do the whole kiss my ass match. That's what we needed to fucking see. No, we didn't. This was dog shit. This is one of the worst things that WCW did in its last year. And that's including a lot of shit that Vince Russo was part of. And Russo was not part of the company at this point. DDP versus Canyon. Okay, 8 minutes left. It was DDP's revenge, and he eventually got that. Because even with a brick in the book, the positively page Canyon book to the head, nope, he would not be denied DDP. That is Diamond Cutter 1, 2, 3. That's pretty much it right there. They always have good matches, but, at this point, you really couldn't get much more blood out of a dried up turnip that had been left out in the goddamn sun on the surface of Mars for about the last 2 years. Anyway, agree, disagree with what I said? Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm Jarrett. I'll see you soon.